I was riding my bike down this fairly busy street and these two guys in this BMW come up and they pass me. Next thing I know, out of the window flies an entire magazine landing in the bike lane as I'm like flying down the road. And I'm like, are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. You guys are idiots. What jerks, you know? I was so upset. So then I saw that they were stopped at this light and I knew the timing of the light and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be perfect. I can ride by them, say how I feel, and then just keep going. So I get up to their windows down and I'm riding by and I'm like, hey, way to litter an entire magazine. Really cool, guys. Boom, and I keep going. And then I'm riding and I'm like, oh, they're gonna catch up with me. Next thing I know, I see this BMW coming up and their windows down. They're like, hey, we're really sorry for littering. I was like, oh, I taught those boys a lesson. So I'm about to like turn and smile and be like, it's okay, boys, just don't do it next time. And I like turn, as I'm turning to like smile and tell them it's okay, they throw more trash at me and keep driving. I couldn't believe it. I was like jaw to the ground, like, are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. So I'm talking to my dad about it and he's like, Joy, you are putting these blanket statements and calling these guys names about things that like, yes, it's a snapshot of their life. We don't know what they're like all the time, but you cannot label people in one isolated, situation when their whole life is a film, So I was like, you're right. But I was thinking about that in terms of relationships. I'm like, we do that all the time. And how is that affecting us? What does labeling do, And I realized, as I label things and people, it's helping me make sense of my feelings and my emotions. So when I saw that happen, I'm like, that frustrates me. That's in, the justice, And I'm like, so if I call them jerks, if I'm like, you're imbecile, you're a jerk, then I'm like, oh, that's why they did that. Then I can make sense of my feelings and my emotions. But it's not effective because essentially then when we label people to help make sense of our feelings, then we're constantly pointing fingers and we're like, this is why they did this and that's why I feel this way. And what happens is that we're never looking inward and going, how can I grow? Did I do anything wrong? I mean, because if I stopped and thought about it, if I stopped calling these guys names, I would have thought about the fact that, hey, guess what? My communication style did not work. They threw more trash at me. It didn't work, And so even though they might be jerks all the time, it doesn't matter. It is not effective for me to go, you're a jerk, therefore I'm justified in talking to you this way. And I realized this is kind of like what bullies do. When I was in 3rd grade, I remember hanging from the monkey bars and this guy was right across from me and he was hanging there and he was like, hey Joy, you're fat. Yes, I was fat in 3rd grade, but it was shocking to me. And so that's when you have those conversations with your parents or your teacher where they're like, well, Billy the bully says things like, you're fat, Joy, because he's got some problems. He's insecure. It's about Billy. It's not about you. So I realized when we are calling people names and labeling them, what does that say about us? What are we just now grown-up bullies? And it happens even more so when we're trying to protect our friends. You see a friend go through a breakup and you're like, oh man, she's such an idiot. You're better off without her. Or that guy, he's such a jerk. You don't want to be with him anyway. I can't believe he did that. It's like we don't really know the whole picture, and I understand that. I mean, even a couple weeks ago, I had 2 girlfriends contact me and tell me about their breakups. One was just really sad, it just didn't work out, and the other one, the guy did something really inappropriate. But both times, just because I loved them, this mama bear thing came out of me and I'm like, tell me where they live, I will hurt them, And they knew I was kidding, hopefully. But the thing was, I was like, how is this, I'm giving them empathy, but how is this helping? How are we gonna move forward as a generation and see people as God's creation if we're just constantly going, they're idiots, they're a tool, whatever. It's not going to be effective. And so I think if we have to step back and go, is label, does it hold power? Is this effective, or is it just something funny we do when we're mad at the guy in the BMW? Yes, it does hold power, but it's not empowering, because even though maybe a label is true, it doesn't matter. It's not effective for us growing and having healthy relationships.
On Joy's next video, Joy confronts the fecal misgivings of her neighborhood dog.
Did you poop and not pick it up? Yeah, you did, didn't you? Go think about that. Unbelievable.